Thank you for following Knockout Crypto. Thank you for following our channel. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I want to bring you this video about blockchain games and where do we see blockchain gaming going. And right now, I think Tron is the leader in blockchain games. And I'm going to tell you why I believe Tron is the leader. And I also believe that gaming is the key to blockchain user adoption. And I think Tron is leading in this area, and I think Tron will be a massive player in the future if it continues leading in this area. So let me show you what I'm talking about when I say that Tron is a leader in blockchain gaming and Tron games are a leader. So if you go to dappradar.com, you can see that some of the top dApps out there. And dApps are, games, dApps are decentralized applications that are currently being used. And on the Tron network, you can see Tron has some of the most used dApps. You have 2.3K, Tron Vegas, another one on the Tron network, Play GOC. You have Epic Dragons, Tron. You have Royal Online Vegas Tron, All Bet Tron. You have some from EOS too. But you have 5 in the top 10 of dApps with average daily users in the past 24 hours. Coming from the Tron network. They also made this tweet. Justin Sun, as you know, he's the CEO of Tron. He also made a tweet earlier. Just caught my attention because I think that, gamings are the key. And so in the past 24 hours, Tron's top 10 dApps had a combine of 40,030 users, 40,300 users. EOS 37,000 users, and Ethereum 6,120 users. The top TRX dApps are already doing better than their EOS and ETH counterparts. Needless to say, when Bitcoin integration is complete, game over. I think it's interesting to note that when you go to Dapp Radar, if you look at it from here too, this happened earlier this week. The top three dApps on Dapp Radar are now hosted on Tron. To think that Tron has been able to dominate the dApp world so quickly in under 4 months since activation of the Tron virtual machine on October 12th is nothing short of remarkable. So I just want to point that out to you guys. Tron is doing massive dApp volume on Dapp Radar. And let me just see users past 24 hours. Past 24 hours. Yeah, users past 24 hours is what I like to use when I'm doing this. And it's clearly that Tron is a major player in terms of games, and it's interesting. EOS is a player too in terms of games, and I think games are going to be the key to massive blockchain adoption. We're going to see that very soon. But you see, most of the dApps that are being used by users that are being tracked on Dapp Radar are either Tron or EOS. Let me give you an example why I think Tron has an advantage over EOS, and I think that's the BitTorrent network is the advantage that Tron has over EOS. And I think that he talks about this as well, Justin Sun. So I'm going to jump into this article. So for blockchain gaming companies, it's like the early days of the App Store. I don't want to read the whole article. I just want to read some key things I thought were very important for people to understand. So you know who Justin Sun is. He's a Chinese serial entrepreneur and founder of Piwi Mobile Social Networking Company. Sun started trying to create a blockchain-based open source protocol with distributed storage technology aimed at a digital entertainment industry. It raised $58 million in an initial coin offering. In September 2017, the value of Tron's cryptocurrency and utility token TRX shot up to nearly $20 billion, but has since slid to $1.7 billion according to CoinMarketCap. That could have been the end of Tron, but Sun proved to be more resourceful than many of the thousands of companies that raised money in ICOs, 80% of which were ultimately labeled scams, but were wiped out in a crypto winter that destroyed much of the newfound wealth. In July 2018, before crypto prices plummeted, Sun acquired BitTorrent, the 15-year-old file-sharing company and one of the biggest decentralized networks in existence, for a reported $140 million. BitTorrent has 25 million daily users, and even a small percentage of them get hooked on Tron tokens. That would be a sizable audience for Tron developers, though questions have been raised about whether Tron can handle transaction volume. Nevertheless, the possibility of Tron's ecosystem has attracted more than 3,000 developers in its Discord group, and Sun says that more than 2,000 apps could debut this year. 3 to 5 Tron-based games are debuting every day. So far, the titles are simple mobile or web games with unimpressive graphics and crude mechanics relating to collecting Tron cryptocurrency rewards. Traditional developers may belittle these games, but it's worth remembering that people said the same thing of Farmville before it became a huge on social and turned Zynga into a multi-billion-dollar company. It's like the early days of the App Store, Sun said. Once you had games like Angry Birds and Fruit Ninja, a lot more came out after. In more recent years, you had Pug and then the Battle Royale games that became really popular on different platforms. 2019 will be the year for games. Sun is not alone in believing that games will pave the road to mass adoption of crypto and online utopia where no central authority will govern society or the internet. That's a grand vision, but on a more practical level, blockchain has the potential to put a lot of power back in the hands of gamers and developers. Today's big game publishers are like media and entertainment titans who own the world's characters and franchises of gaming. If your game shuts down, you lose your characters and your investment. In a decentralized blockchain world, users could own their characters, not merely rent them as they do with today's audience end user license agreements. With blockchain, each character's ownership could be designated and identified. You could take a character from one game to another or trade it for something else of value. Developers are empowered as well. Rather than go through publishers, developers can directly publish their games in the app stores that won't keep a huge chunk of the money. The app stores on mobile and social disrupt the physical retail stores, but the revolution didn't really go far enough. Game industry veterans venturing into crypto see blockchain as a way to disrupt the status quo, and some of them are racing to get ahead of Sun. EOS is also trying to entice game developers to its cryptocurrency platform. Controversial blockchain billionaire Brock Pierce said he was considering starting a fund for game companies to build apps on EOS, which Pierce co-founded and later left. If I were a game developer right now, I would be looking at building something on EOS, Pierce said in an interview. I don't want to be telling people because this is literally when Facebook opened up the API. This is Zynga all over again. It's one of the greatest opportunities I'm aware of in my space, one of the greatest opportunities I'm aware of in the world. And so Pierce has said up until very recently, blockchain wasn't ready to support gaming. For 5 years, I've told people, nope, not ready, but now it's possible. You can build stuff on EOS today, and there will be other chains in the future. So that is just very key to look at how blockchain can change the gaming world. And what Tron is doing is just, you have mainstream competition coming into gaming on blockchain. So blockchain startups also have competition from established game makers. Ubisoft, the French video game publisher with 14,000 employees, is one of them. The makers of games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey recently sponsored a blockchain game summit in Lyon, France, and is experimenting with various blockchain games. Obviously, we're very interested in blockchain. We're exploring that here with various products. CS says Ubisoft isn't focused so much on crypto, which often involves rewards for gamers. Rather, it's looking at the value of digital assets and how they can be used in environments where Ubisoft builds part of the world and users build part of it. The company is searching for ways to enhance the user experience with blockchain and creating an experimental game, Hashcraft. It also held a blockchain hackathon at a strategic innovative lab in Paris. But so far, there isn't much blockchain-related coming out of other big companies like Electronic Arts and Activision, which haven't fully even embraced augmented reality or virtual reality tech from a couple of hype cycles ago. At the Tron event, the founder of blockchain game Plotframe, BitGill, joked, in a few years maybe we'll buy them. Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic Games, has said that blockchain could be the underlying technology. Now, Epic Games is the ones that have they built Fortnite. So if you don't know about Epic Games, you probably don't know anything about games. But Epic Games built Fortnite, which is probably the most popular game out right now. So Tim Sweeney has said that blockchain could be the underlying technology for the metaverse, the virtual universe, enabled by Neil Stephenson in his 1997 novel Slow Crash. In 2017, Sweeney said that could be used for gaming. Ethereum has to be updated to refresh rates of 60 times a second to one simulation code for games. By 2018, Epic Games had opened its own store and made blockchain-related technologies available to game developers via its Unreal game engine. So Sun says we see ourselves as building a decentralized virtual world. That's why we want to put the BitTorrent protocol and the Tron protocol together. We can abandon today's centralized services like Facebook or Google. We can fully create a decentralized internet. That's the hardest thing we'll ever build, but I think it's meaningful. The world needs an alternative. I'm going to read that again. The vision is we see ourselves as building a decentralized virtual world. That's why we want to put the BitTorrent protocol and Tron protocol together. We can abandon today's centralized services like Facebook or Google. We can fully create a decentralized internet. That's the hardest thing we'll ever build, but I think it's meaningful. The world needs an alternative. So let's go over the 10 most popular dApps on the Tron network right now. Dap Radar has the different metrics for ranking dApps, but I looked at the 10 dApps that had the highest amount of users within 24 hours. Epic Games, Dragon. I'm just going to go back to the dApp thing here. You can go ahead, you can click on Protocol Tron. So as you can see, the top dApps on Tron are Play GOC, is a gambling dApp, 6.2K users, Epic Dragons, Royal Online Vegas, All Bet, Tron Vegas, TRX Market, Tron Bet, Candy More, Box, Fishing Master, and Two Candies. Some of these are gambling games. Look at the top 4 or 5 are gambling games. But they have some users. People are using them. 6,000 users, 5,000 users for Epic Dragons, 3,000 for Royal Online Vegas, 3,000 for All Bet, 2,000 for Tron Vegas. So these are actual dApps that have users. You see that right there on dapradar.com. So you see that people are using games, and that games will be the key. I want to also read this article from the CEO of Loom Network, and he says that the same thing. He says games will be the catalyst for blockchain mass adoption. This is James Martin Duffy. He says we've been hyper-focused on blockchain games at Loom Network, and here's why. I thought this was a very timely article. So he says... It just so happens that we're focused on games first because we think a game will be the first killer dApp to reach millions of users. So let's go into why he thinks that games will be the key to onboarding millions of new users onto Ethereum and acquiring their first cryptocurrency. Games are simply the best path the blockchain industry has toward hitting mainstream adoption in the immediate future. The next big thing will start out looking like a toy. Blockchains don't just have a scaling problem, they have a user adoption problem. The biggest problem with Ethereum is not scalability, it's user adoption. If you look at some of the most interesting thing about the dApps is the most popular dApps right now in Ethereum are usually marketplaces or exchanges, gaming, or gambling. But even so, if you look at the most popular dApp, let's look at the most popular dApp right now. Even so, the most popular dApp right now is EOS and Tron. They only have 6,000 users. That's nothing. That's nothing, guys. We have to start thinking about this in the long term. 6,000 users is nothing. 6,000 users is nothing compared to Facebook, which has 1.4 million daily users, Twitter, 157 million daily users, Pug Mobile, which has 10 million daily users. The largest dApps on Ethereum, Tron, or EOS are tiny in the grand scheme of things, guys. We gotta think about that. So even if we don't have a lot of users, how do we get mainstream adoption for cryptocurrency and killer dApps and friction? So the lack of killer dApps is one reason why we don't have mainstream users and friction. Decentralized dApps are significantly harder to use than their centralized counterparts, okay? And you gotta realize if it's not easy to use, people are not gonna use it. So the key to getting more users onto cryptocurrency is you have to reduce friction and build more killer dApps. Now, to do that, the Loom CEO says that, this is what they're doing. They're focusing on games first. They're building dApps that don't have as much friction. Decentralized doesn't mean anything to your average user. I like this way he says, Peter Thiel has famously said that to build a successful startup, you need to solve some problem 10 times better than any other existing service. 10 times better? That's really hard to do, and that's why we haven't seen any killer dApps yet. But the thing about games are unique among applications in that users don't need to be strongly incentivized to download and play a new game. A game does not need to be 10x better than any game that came before it. As long as the game is marketed well and looks somewhat fun, there's a huge user base, 2.2 billion gamers worldwide, willing to give it a try, even paying money to do so. There's 1 billion paying users. 40% of gamers download 2 to 3 new games per year, 27% download 1 game per month, 12% download 1 game per week, 4.4 download new games every single day. So that's 96 million users who are downloading and trying 300 games every year. So what benefits does blockchain bring to online gaming? Well, benefits bring true ownership of in-game items that players can buy and sell freely, enabling robust in-game economies, provable and audible item scarcity and fierceness and drop rates, infinite moddability, games that can be built to allow developers to build and upload their own alternative game modes for all players to use. Developers can actually modify and extend server-side logic, allowing for infinitely expandable game worlds driven by entirely community development. So, if nothing else, you can take a game and we sell a game to another. We sell your game items to another game because it's a blockchain. You own it. So companies preventing players from reselling items they paid money for is clearly a bad deal for the player's perspective, but players put up with it because there's no current alternative. The ability to truly own and freely resell their items is a benefit many gamers don't even know they want yet, but after they experience it, they may come to demand it from all games they play in the future. In this way, we can naturally introduce millions of people to the blockchain. After they're hooked on the game, they'll learn to sell their items for real money. With a properly designed game economy, some players may even be able to make a lot of money. And not surprisingly, users who are earning real money will have a lot more motivation to learn about the blockchain and its benefits. In the following model, we're getting them onboarded with as low friction as possible and slowly increasing their motivation to want them to do well in the game. Then with higher motivation, we get them to take the next step into using advanced blockchain features. And after experiencing it, they may come to demand in-game assets be stored on a blockchain from all games in the future. So I'm going to do another video on this article, but I thought it was such a good article because it really explains why games would be the key for the blockchain economy. And I think games are the key. And I think right now, when we look at gaming, we have to say that the leader right now in gaming and crypto is Tron and EOS. But I think Tron was taking the lead because Tron, with the BitTorrent network, is going to be able to distribute games a lot more easier, probably than EOS. But Tron is definitely a leader right now in blockchain gaming. And I think we can't take that for granted because once they get people onboarded, Tron is going to be a serious competitor with the Tron Arcade and some of the other things that Tron has. So guys, I want you to take another look at Tron and also just realize that Tron blockchain games are growing, but also realize that gaming is the key to mass blockchain adoption. Gaming is going to be the key to mass blockchain user adoption, okay? All right, guys, thank you for following Knockout Crypto. I just wanted to read that article to you. I thought it was very interesting. But I think gaming is the key to mass blockchain adoption. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Follow us, like the video, comment on the video. Let me know what you think, okay? Thank you for following Knockout Crypto. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Thank you for following Knockout Crypto.